Hi. I've been married to my hubby for 4 years, and we've been together for 12 years. After a lot of financial struggle, we bought a house and we are now planning to get kids. Thing is, a few months ago, my husband fell sick and had to stay home for a while. He decided to pick up an online game and started having weekly sessions with a group of players. Among them is a girl 30, I think, and long story short, he fell in love with her. He broke down crying a month ago and admitted it. He told me it built up so gradually he didn't understand how he felt until it was too late. They started texting privately after meeting, and eventually had one-on-one calls together. Then at some point he said, she told him she was in love with him, and he realized it was mutual. He said he told her it was impossible, but loved her too. They tried to be just friends, but they couldn't resist and continued to show affection for each other. He showed me the texts, but also venture into sexting. She asked if she could meet him face to face, but he refused. So he told me all of this, apologized over and over again, and told me he couldn't control himself. And while he loved us both, it was me he would choose no matter what. I was still very upset and slept at a friend's that night to gather my thoughts. I decided to forgive him because he clearly felt guilt and wanted to work it out. I told him that while I was deeply hurt, I still appreciated him coming forward to me and being honest about what happened. We got into long conversations about how we were feeling in our relationship. I accepted he could love someone else, but said I didn't like how he handled it. He agreed. And then yesterday he asked if I was comfortable opening up the marriage to polyamory. He said he still wanted to live with me and have kids, but can't erase nor ignore the feelings he has for her. He says he wants to do it right and let us both see other people, with clear boundaries and communication, and still be present for one another. I'm gonna be honest, it made me very uncomfortable at first. We have several friends who are poly. I know more or less how it works, but I never really thought about getting into it myself. I am not against, it just never crossed my mind before. I am trying to think it through, but it's a lot to take in. Sorry my writing is probably messy, but it's kind of hard to focus. I guess it's too early to decide, and we have a lot more to discuss beforehand, but still, could you guys give me your opinions on this? Thanks a lot. 18 days later. First off, sorry I didn't reply to all your comments. I am very thankful for them. They helped me realize hard but fair truths about the whole situation. I waited for a bit to think about it all, and had multiple long discussions with my husband. I wanted to confront him before making a final decision. To answer some of your questions, the other girl wanted to meet him, but they never did. Partly because my husband refused, but honestly, mostly because she lives too far from here. I still got checked for STDs though, and I'm clean, yay. As for our polyamory friends, they apparently were the ones who suggested him to go down the polyamory road. I stopped talking to them for now. I'll deal with the bigger problem first. I told him his actions hurt me deeply, and that while I appreciated him admitting his affair, it was still infidelity. I told him what you guys said, that turning it into polyamory was merely greenlighting the affair after the fact. That polyamory should be built on mutual trust and communication, which he already broke. That I didn't feel respected. It destroyed him. He said he already knew deep down, but didn't want to admit it, neither to me nor to himself. We both screamed and cried a lot. He finally admitted he wanted to open the marriage for selfish reasons. He is very sorry. He cut off contact with the other girl, let me fully access his computer and phone, and now wants to go to counseling to repair our relationship and marriage. He is showing me a lot of affection and attention since then, although he admits himself it's sometimes out of guilt, and not just out of pure love. And now I want to make it work too, but am I? Or is it sunk cost fallacy? I don't know. Our first session is in 2 months, the earliest we could get. And every day I change my mind. Literally yesterday I wanted to leave him, while today I think it's worth giving it a try. Because we've known each other for so long, we understand each other on a very deep level, share a lot of interests, and have already built so much together. He was there for me during hard parts of my life. He took responsibility for his actions, and is really trying. Plus, if I leave him, I'd have to start my life nearly from scratch. Find a new place to live, Go back into dating for the first time in 12 years. I don't want to lose everything. It sounds very hard and scary. Am I not too old for this? But at the same time, that's a form of denial, isn't it? It doesn't matter if those years were good. It's not going to be the same. Even if he gains my trust back, even if I forgive him, I'll never forget. I think he is genuinely remorseful. But isn't it too late for that? I am too empathetic. Him being present now doesn't erase what was done. Do I want to stay not because I still believe in this relationship, but because don't have the strength to ask for a divorce? Because it's the easy choice, some kind of codependency? I have no idea. I can picture both paths clearly, and it's tearing me apart. I am lost, maybe even more than I was when I wrote my previous post. I've lost sleep and appetite, and I'm not sure I enjoy anything in my life anymore. I booked an appointment with a psychologist for me alone, to help with this whole thing. I am sorry, at this point I am rambling. I know I am the only one who can decide what's okay and comfortable for me or not. It's ultimately my choice and my choice only. The emotional hell I am going through just makes thinking about that choice very hard and paralyzing. I'll go to both therapies and try to see what to do from here. I'll try to update, but it's probably going to take a while. I am sorry. I want to thank you again for your support. And I am sending you guys a lot of love. Edit. A couple of infos I should have mentioned, but didn't because putting all of that into writing without omitting something is much harder than I thought. He cut off contact with her because once he told him he was married and wanted us both, she just ran away and broke up with him. There are times since then where my husband starts feeling sad or angry because of what's basically withdrawal. And for that he's smartly sensible enough not to blame me. What kind of marriage did we have before this crisis? It will sound so naive. It's my first and only romantic relationship. We were very close and basically grew as adults together. We could talk about anything and understand each other. We shared the same values and interests. What changed, I think, is that we got into a routine and he got bored. During our argument, he said he was addicted to the attention the girl was giving him, and that he felt I didn't show him I was in love with him enough anymore. I told him that even if it was true, he should have told me instead of having an affair. On one hand, I have my faults too, and I could accept this as one of them. On the other, I was taking care of him and the house while he was sick. I don't think he believes it. I don't think he means it. But it makes me wonder whether I was actually a good wife for him, even though I am not responsible for his actions. Thanks again for your support, y'all. It's a lot to process, but it helps me so much. 3 months later. A huge amount of things happened since then. I'll quickly summarize. Feel free to check my profile if you want to know more. It was a very unpleasant ride. So soon-to-be ex-husband had an emotional affair online and tried to make me greenlight it by asking for an open marriage, where we'd be allowed to have side adventures. I refused and his affair partner dumped him. He begged me to try to reconcile with him, to which I agreed while I was actually trying to prepare my exit. We both went to individual therapy, still am. We separated temporarily 3 times, but every time I came back, it went terribly. He was desperate. He kept trying to cross my boundaries, love bombing me, playing the victim, asking to touch me even though I established I didn't want to, threatening to kill himself if we were to divorce. I could go on and on. This made me finally realize, along with my therapist's help, lot of self-reflection, and my exchanges on Reddit, that I was in an abusive relationship, which is an important part, actually the most important part, of this update. Please look up definitions and examples of abuse, because I had no idea that what my husband had been doing all these years, even before the affair, counted as such. In his case, it was psychological abuse, manipulation, gaslighting, guilt-tripping, blame-shifting, emotional blackmail. Nothing aggressive or mean, which turned me into a very submissive partner over the years, always catering to his needs while erasing mine. I rationalized everything. It happened subtly and gradually, and I was too naive to see it for what it was. His emotional affair, an open marriage proposal were the natural continuity of that. Of course, the more I tried to get away from him, the more manipulative he got. Now that I was aware of it, I knew what he was doing, but fighting years of conditioning, even if you recognize it and succeed, Is F asterisk king exhausting and disarming? So earlier today, I brought a friend home to assist me. We sat down, the three of us. And I told my husband we were over, and I handed him the papers. It might sound dumb, but it's genuinely one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I was terrified, yet he agreed. He repeatedly asked me if I was sure. He reminded me of the family we were planning to have, and of our best memories together. Was it all for nothing? Apparently yes. He was heartbroken, clearly mad and frustrated, but still he agreed. He signed them, and went back to his parents for now. We still have to go through the whole procedure, separate our assets, decide what to do with the house and all. And he still wants us to go to marriage counseling. But right now, I feel free, for the first time in months. The last hours have been a mix of tears, celebration and godly restful sleep. And I have to thank you guys again, because my first Reddit post was the wake-up call I needed to eventually finally get here. Better late than never, IG. Thank you so much. Lot of love to you all. 3 months later. My previous post should have been the final update. I wish. God, I wish. But no, of course not. Of course it got worse again. Fuck my life. After my soon-to-be ex-husband signed the divorce papers, we went no contact. Or at least I tried to. He still sent me text messages, voice messages, and tried to call me multiple times. He even sent me a long letter full of statements such as, "I'm concerned that your mental health is deteriorating. I believe you need antidepressants to help you feel like yourself again," or, "Your trauma is understandable, but it probably makes you want to punish me by making irrational decisions, like divorce," or, "I am afraid you are surrounding yourself with questionable influences that have bad agendas. Please let me help you see it through." He claimed that the crisis was just as hard for him as it was for me. People told me he was escalating, and that I should protect myself. I should have listened immediately, but I didn't react soon enough. Then he came to our street. He arrived uninvited, and pleaded with me to give him a second chance. He said he wanted to be there for me and for us, insisting that he didn't deserve any of this. I started to feel distressed. He saw that I was unwell, and wanted to comfort me, so he hugged me. But I didn't want to be touched. I'm pretty sure I told him no. I think I screamed no multiple times, but my memory is fuzzy. Either I misremember, or I did say no and he ignored it and didn't stop. I know it's just a hug, but it triggered a severe panic attack. He called emergency services, telling them he was worried about me, because I wasn't myself. I had to ask the paramedics to make him leave. After that, he told me he was there for me if I needed him, but he thought we needed space. He contacted half our social circle to inform them that I was unwell and needed support. Our mutual friends, my colleagues, our neighbors, my physician. People reached out of the blue to ask if I was okay. I became paranoid, unsure of who to trust anymore. Close friends, my therapist, and people here helped me see things more clearly. My lawyer filed a restraining order against him, but unfortunately, it was refused. Not enough concrete evidence of a threat, apparently. I want to scream. We submitted a second request, which is currently being reviewed. In the meantime, I've moved into an apartment of my own. He doesn't know where I live. Hell, almost nobody does. I constantly wonder how he reacted when he found out. I'm still paying my half of the mortgage, because nothing has been decided regarding our house yet. It's financially very hard for me, but I do feel safer. I am feeling much better, although I remain haunted by constant stress, sleep disorders, nightmares, nervous tics, random bursts of tears and rushes of anxiety. My physician prescribed me sedatives. They do make it easier. I realize I'm isolating myself more and more. I try to fight it, but I'm really afraid that sensitive information could leak even accidentally. I've started reaching out to my closest friends again, as much as I can. I am trying to come back here on Reddit. I keep going to therapy. It's necessary, because one part of me, the part he cultivated for so long, urges me to stop all of this. To go back to the house, cancel the restraining order, cancel the divorce, call him, apologize, and repair our relationship. It would be insane. I am not going to do that. I do not listen to that little voice. I don't. But when your defenses are attacked over and over again, it becomes incredibly hard to reason properly. I can't wait for the divorce to be over. I just want to move on. I want all of this to be behind me. I'm sorry this is bleak. I wish I would have left sooner. I just hope this can help someone, anyone. Commenter 1. His current tactic of convincing everyone that she's mentally unstable, so he can stop the divorce and force her to come back, is diabolical. I hope she's got a plan in place with her therapist to vouch for her. Commenter 2. He's alienating her from her support system. And it kinda worked cause OOP doesn't know who to trust. You can see he tried it way before. 1. Love bombing her is always a sign of abuse. OOP won't be able to find others who can give the level of love bombing an abuser gives. But it's only because the abuser wants the victim to forget the negative sides of the relationship. It's like a drug that says stomach the abuse or risk losing the love I give. 2. When OOP brought a friend for the divorce papers, she was obviously distressed. But he is so pliant and normal, and signed it without a fuss, only to say later on that she has bad influences surrounding her. He needs to appear good to others while abusing her behind doors. 3. Calling the paramedics cause of panic attack. That is the level of fear OOP has. I'm glad she was able to ask the paramedics to make him leave. A normal person who saw an ex break down and panic, assuming that normal person ain't the reason for it, would contact 3 people in this situation. The parents, the bestie, and work if it seems like work would be an issue. But no, he contacted everyone to present the idea that he cares so much about her. Bullshit. He knows it would be easy for his reputation to take a hit, because even the professionals asked him to go away. He knows she could say he's an abuser, and have a lot of evidences, especially since she was screaming and others might have heard, and he was afraid for himself, so he had to send out that message. If he was afraid for her, which with his action of stalking alone, disproves that, then he would have contacted just those 3 people who needed to know and no one else. 4. Since their mutual friends seem to not know how dire the situation was, he is trying to recruit him to his side of worst comes to worst. That is why, instead of confiding about the divorce and just saying to let her be or be there for her, it seemed like he is asking everyone to check on her, to tire her out more, to make her more panicky, to confuse her in the middle of all these things. 5. He's basically telling everyone she's crazy. He wants her to lose friends. And he knows her all too well. OOP's last post, wherein she says she's so tired and wants to cancel everything. The abuser knows that. The abuser knows OOP will arrive at that point. And that's why he keeps doing it more. God, I hope that restraining order can be put in place.